Hi there, my name's Chris Collison, and today we're going to talk about how we might go about applying for a job. But not only are we applying for a job in life, we're often applying for that next step, that next climb up the rung of a ladder. And it's really an opportunity for us to grow when we apply for that next big thing. So what we're going to talk about is how we look at ourselves and think about the assets that we have, those assets, those skills that we have, and the value that those skills provide to our employer. And we're going to think about writing an improved resume and a cover letter that really sheds some light in a clear, concise, and compelling way as to why we will bring so much value for that next step in our career. So I hope you find some value from this presentation, and it ties in with our homework that's next coming in Chemistry 670, graduate writing, graduate communications. But you can use this for that next key step in your lives. So thanks for listening. So I think you can all understand why this particular presentation is called Application for Success. My name's Chris Collison, and this work comes in weeks 13 and 14 in the semester, and the class is CHEM 670. So the context is associated with some homework, and the idea here is that you're going to be applying for a job in our class. It's a chemistry job. I'm going to ask you to rewrite and submit your resume to me, and basically I'm going to give one of you the job. I also want you to build a cover letter in here, so that should say letter. And you're going to turn that in along with the resume. So I'm also calling this applying to grow, because if we think about some context behind this, you're going to grow in your careers, you're going to grow in your lives, you're going to go up rungs of a ladder. And in order to make progress, I think, in your life, and certainly around a career, you want to apply for that next step. So you'll need to apply to something. So in fact, there's many times in life when we need to apply for something. It may be that you're about to go for a PhD program and you need to write that personal statement. And in that personal statement, you may need to think about your assets and why you would be a perfect selection for the program. You may need to write a cover letter to submit an article for a journal publication, and we often have to do this in science, and we have to think about why that particular publication, why the paper that we've written is going to be of benefit to the journal that we're submitting it to. We also want to think about a grant proposal from time to time. So we also want to think about the assets of our scientific work and how those scientific intellectual merits, if you will, how they align with the requirements of the solicitation of the grant, right? What the sponsor is looking for from your particular scientific efforts. Of course, in this particular example, we're going to be thinking about applying for a job, but you might also think about applying for a promotion. And it doesn't matter. There are many times in your life where you're going to want to take a look at yourself and think about those assets and how those assets bring benefits to your employer. So, do we want to do one lecture for each of these applications? So the answer is no. So what I want you to think about is all these bullets, and we're going to say that each of these applications is really the same, and we're going to say that there's a single process really for applying with each of these bullets in the previous slide, and you're going to assess your fit for a particular successful recognition of your talent. So assess your fit for the company that you're applying to. We're also going to think about a process that allows you to compare your relative quality And it's the same whether you're going for a promotion or whether you're applying for a sponsored research grant. You want to say why your work, why your assets are top notch. So we're going to talk about here a structure that enables your ongoing success and progress. So in this particular exercise, you're going to be applying for a job, of course, but I want you to consider those strengths and assets. I've mentioned this term assets a few times already. You're going to want to prioritize these assets based on their relative value to the employer, right? In the case of applying for a job, why will your skills have particularly high merit with the employer? And really, another way of looking at that is the benefits of your assets. Your assets are like features. What are the benefits? How will they bring about more profit, for example, in the company if your application is successful? So what's this structure? What's this process we're going to go through? Let's take a look. So the first step really is to look at the advertisement for the job that you're applying to. It could be look at the solicitation for the science that is going to win the sponsored research money. It could be what does the journal want in all the articles that are published there. The key is to look first at the information that you're provided with. So in this case, it's the job advert. Look at the ad, and as you go through it, and you'll be able to do this in this particular example, in this particular homework, but highlight those needed attributes that you have. Look at the list of required skills, the preferred attributes in the advertisement. Highlight the skills that you have, highlight the competencies that you have, and the personal attributes. This might be integrity, it might be communication skills, it might be patience. Think about the experience. Often jobs say a certain number of years of experience are required. And highlight also the qualifications that are described in the ad. This should be a very positive experience for you because you're going through and aligning your qualities with what's required in the job. It also tells you, of course, when a job may be beyond your reach or even a job that you're overqualified for. So first thing first is basically engage with that ad and read that advert. And then So as we go through this, you're going to identify your assets. Let's look at an example. So the particular job that you're going to be applying for in this exercise has a certain list of required skills. The first set are shown in this slide in here. And what I'm suggesting you do is either go through and bold your strengths. So perhaps in this particular job, you're looking to, you're being asked to do some lab experiments. So as a chemist in the MS program for chemistry at RIT, you will have done some lab experiments. So you've got those under your wing. It's likely you will have conducted some extractions before. So you may also have calculated yields for those extractions where you're extracting some compound from a particular mixture. You probably have also, if maybe you've written up a thesis, you may have analyzed your results and you've probably written it up. Okay, and you may find examples later for how you will demonstrate how you can maintain and improve the proper functions of the lab. So by looking through all of this and highlighting or even placing check marks or tick marks next to the skills that you have, you're aligning yourself with that particular advert. List your additional strengths. You want to find a way in which you can differentiate yourself from other people who are applying for the same position. If you remember in the previous slide, you'd bolded and highlighted conduct extractions, analyze results, write reports, and maintain and improve the proper functions of the lab. So how might you look at yourself and say, I can go beyond these required attributes? You might, for example, suppose or say or think or remind yourself that you have expertise in kinetics, and the kinetics that you understand will allow you to perhaps increase the extraction rates, and that means that your work for this company may be more productive. If you've completed a thesis and that analysis within the thesis, so a thesis is a written report, and maybe the analysis that you did led to a peer-reviewed publication. So this is how you differentiate yourself from the next person applying for the position. Maybe also as part of your research experience as a master's student, you may have taught or mentored undergraduates to optimize the productivity from that research group. You may have taught those undergraduates how to improve the functions of the laboratory so that the group as a whole could be more productive. The next thing to do is, once you've recognized these strengths and once you've recognized how you can differentiate yourself, you have to obviously communicate these strengths. So incorporate those ticked or the extra items that you've identified, incorporate those into a summary of yourself, and that can be done on a piece of paper, but of course we have to recognize that may also want to come in fairly early in your resume or in your cover letter. And the important thing here is that really employers and recruiters often decide very quickly, the first page or so of your resume, whether they want to interview you. So you're going to have one opportunity, and you want to make an impact fairly early in your cover letter and in your resume. So again, we'll talk a lot about being clear, concise, and compelling, but also get it up front in your documents that you're applying with. One thing I want to bring out at this point is we talked a lot in this course about perhaps the conceptual problem that you're working on in your research, and how we have to provide some context to the audience. And for the audience in here, so if we look at this table on the right hand side, we've got for the audience. That's a pragmatic problem. We need to connect with the pragmatic problem that the audience is going to understand. But in this table as well, you're going to see on the left-hand side, we've got things that appeal to us, right? So we often are familiar with our experiments, and we have a lot of details about those experiments. But again, we want to provide the context to the audience when we're presenting our work. In sales and marketing, people talk about features of products. You might have 4K resolution on your television. That's a feature. The benefit is that the screen and the picture looks better, and people enjoy a clearer image. We also, in a scientific publication, of course, we put data in there, and that's what we tend to want to focus on. And it's the same thing, that the data or the results, they are associated with the claim that we might make in the title. So again, it's the context, it's the claim here, and also the conclusion. So many people will read our work because of the conclusion that will have the larger impact. Of course, in our job application, the things that we want to communicate are the experiences that we've had in our prior jobs. We want to basically put those experiences in terms of the value that our employer will have for them. We want to also talk about our responsibilities. So we have responsibilities in our current jobs, but the employer will think more about the achievements and the accomplishments, because really everybody has responsibilities, but not everyone has achievements or accomplishments. The job that we do, by the way, is the job that we do. But really, why does the company care? Well, the company is usually profiting from the work that we do. So always on the right hand side here of this table, we should be thinking about how we get more bang for the buck in our application, and really what it means to the employer. So let's emphasize certain things through the value that we provide. How do we write a resume? List your most recent job first. That's going to be most relevant to the employer. And there may be jobs that you've done, you need to perhaps list them, but you don't really want to emphasize them. In those cases, just list the job title, the company name and the location perhaps, and of course when you worked for them. But really for the jobs that you do want to emphasize, so remember about what your emphasis is. For the jobs that you do want to emphasize it, if the company is not well known, you might talk a little bit about the description of the company and how it is relevant to your potential employer. But you do want to emphasize in those listings, in those jobs that you do want to emphasize. Think about the responsibilities again that you had and those achievements that you had. These are these ideas that came up in the prior table. So responsibilities and achievements. Again, we're thinking about creating value. Remember, those responsibilities are the things that you are paid to do, right? It's the stuff that we have to do in our jobs. But really what is important to any employer is really how they maximize their profit, if you will. It's about the achievements, right? It's about how you added value beyond the job that you were just paid to do. So when you think about in a resume, you want everything to count in that first half page, in that first page really of your CV. So don't take up valuable space listing just the typical things that you did on a daily basis or the easy accomplishments. You want to think about listing those unique skills. How can you do that? Provide an action verb. Tell the recruiter, the reader, the employer about how you performed your accomplishment. So the verb tells you how you performed that accomplishment. And really, you also want to say what the key outcome was. What was the impact of that particular accomplishment? Let's look at an example. And we might consider the following statements that you'd start to list in your resume. Perhaps you've been working with an external collaborator and you presented results to those collaborators, and you also maybe liaised with the tech transfer team. But if we just look at how these bullets, these statements are written, it turns out that this is vague, right? We don't know how we worked. We don't know how we presented those results. We don't know how we liaised. It's not really selling the value that we really need to put forward to the employer. So it might be that we used written reports. Maybe we had a weekly conference call. What were those results? Were those results from complex experiments? Were they ideas or concepts? Were you a subject matter expert? What is in here that increases your value? And maybe you're liaising with a team, but really, what did you contribute to that team? So we can think about specific actions and accomplishments. So let's look at something specific. How might we change this around? What were our responsibilities? What were we accountable for? People like accountability, right? Write your tasks down again succinctly. Remember, we're wanting to be clear, concise, and compelling now in everything we put down. And we can also tell the story of our career in our resume. But let's look at this example in here. So this should be a bullet in here. Proposed new testable prototypes for industrial collaborators, right? So that's what we did with our collaborators. Not just we worked with collaborators, but we proposed new testable prototypes. This was the outcome, testable prototypes, but we proposed them. So this has some value. The results that we presented, well, it says here how we did that. We provided summaries in bi-weekly teleconference calls to both technical audience and management personnel. So there's a skill embedded in this here that we can talk to all types of people. We also identified this as how we worked with that, how we liaised with that team. So we identified intellectual property and we submitted an invention disclosure. So again, this in this last piece, in this last statement here, it also talks about a specific outcome, something that we accomplished. So we're embedding those achievements in the list of jobs that we do. We're embedding those achievements inside the list of the responsibilities that we had. And in that way, we're differentiating ourselves. So, differentiate through your achievements. Remember that the greatest predictor of future behavior is past behavior. We see that with stocks in the stock market. Those are the indicators that are important. It's the past behavior tells us about the future expectations for when you are hired, right? When you put these achievements into your resume, you're basically showing off your can-do attitude. You're saying what you did and how it brought value. Another few tips here for writing a resume: put your most recent qualifications first. So these are just general things in here now. Make sure you state any outstanding academic achievements. We're in the we're RIT, doing our masters. So we're going to have some academic achievements that we want to talk about. What prizes or awards or scholarships or a high GPA? How can we put that in our resume? Make sure that the recruiters see it. The recruiters and employers love this stuff, right? You have to differentiate yourselves. Of course, sometimes we may have things that we're not proud of. Maybe we have a poor track record in some area. What we can also do here is remember to camouflage these results and maybe supply them upon request. So that's the idea. These are the sort of the general tips, again, for writing a resume. What about a cover letter? Okay, so let's first talk about the opening to that cover letter and the body of that cover letter. But the first thing to do is you may want to find a good template online or through Microsoft Word. There are good templates out there. Look around. The opening paragraph. So really you want to say why you're writing, right? So put the main reason you're writing in there. You think you'd be a great fit for the position. You're particularly attracted to the position. Then really the bulk of what you're going to be saying is in the body of the cover letter. So in that body, explain, of course, the skills, your knowledge, your experience and qualifications, those personal attributes, your integrity, your enthusiasm. Explain how you will bring all these things to the specific role on offer. You may also choose to use subtitles. If you have several paragraphs and each paragraph might be associated with a certain set of qualifications or certain experiences. You don't want your cover letter to be too long, but if you have a lot of things to highlight, then maybe use subtitles just as you do in writing a thesis introduction. Use subtitles, and if those subtitles align with the key required or preferred attributes in the job advertisement, then that also points the employer to where to look to find out more about how you would be a good fit for that particular role. So really, you also want to state why you are the best person. Okay, you want to tell the world about yourself here. State your selling points and your most relevant achievements. You have to think about the most relevant achievements. Think about who the audience is, who the company is, who the employer is, and make sure you align those attributes with what you think the employer is going to want to see. So continuing with the body of that letter, and so the first point here, and then we'll talk about the close to the letter. So you may also use some flattery to connect with the employer. And when you're using flattery, you might also choose at the same time to align your own complementary qualities. Okay, so an example here might be, I will bring enthusiasm and passion with an expectation to continue to grow and learn. Who wouldn't want that of an employee? So to continue to grow and learn from colleagues in your company who clearly share the same passion and enthusiasm. So it sounds very positive, and it's aligning your own qualities with your perceived qualities of the company you're choosing to apply to. So indicate reasons for wanting to work with the person, with the employer, with the group, the company. What makes that company stand out? So again, some flattery here and aligning with those attributes that make the company stand out. That may be of benefit to you in your closing paragraphs to the cover letter. And really, you want to make it clear and ask someone to read your letter just to check this, but you want the employer to really think that they'd be crazy not to take you. So in that final paragraph, as we move towards the final paragraph of your cover letter, state that your resume is attached and that it has more information in it, perhaps than the cover letter. End on a positive note, okay, and express how the close is important here. So express how you'd like to be contacted. You've got to imply an expectation that they will call you in for an interview. And express when you would be available for perhaps a phone interview, and that's kind of indicating that that you're ready and you're the right person for this particular job. So in summary, let's review everything we've talked about today. So as with everything in this course, right, we have to always think about the audience. In this case, the audience is an employer, and how do they care? They care about your quality. You need to tell them how you are a cut above the rest. So differentiate yourself. Find a way to make yourself stand out. Think about the context. What do I mean by this? Think about the value that you bring to the audience. If we're always thinking about the audience, we're going to go far in life, not just in our presentations, but also in our job applications. Another thing I'm going to continually talk about is be clear, concise, and compelling, right? So we cannot write a 5-page cover letter or a 5-page resume. People won't read it. So you need to be concise. We need to be very clear about what we're offering, and we need to be compelling in this case because we want the job. Remember, just again in summary in here, what I've talked about here today is really an application for a job, but it's also a way of thinking about how we might move forward and grow in our lives and in our careers. And I think this approach, it takes work, it's a process, but it is a positive affirmation of you. So as we think about all those skills that we have, this should make us feel very good about ourselves and should always lead to a very sort of positive outlook after going through a job application like this. So as with most tasks, by the way, there is a structure and it is a learnable process. So we'll go through that approach. You can use these slides as you go through the job application for this class. And of course, thank you very much for listening. Good luck in your careers. And again, thanks for listening.